What's up, everybody? Welcome into another episode of Trust the Tape, your favorite, your very favorite, according to me, NFL draft, but also Cowboys, but also it's just the draft, but kind of the Cowboys podcast. My name is Jeff.
My name is Jeff.
And I, of course, am hanging out with the greatest drafter of all time. Check the 1998 Philadelphia Eagles draft. They lost. But yes, Bryan is the greatest drafter of all time, the great and powerful Bryan Broaddus, former Cowboy scout. You can hear him on the Fan. You can see him on Crown Global Media. Follow that on YouTube and Twitter. Hey, Bryan.
Hey, Bryan.
How you doing, bud?
Hello, Jeffrey. Hey. Welcome back.
Thank you. Yes, I've been out of town. So today I am just a consumer for the very first portion of the broadcast day. Because this morning am catching up on Cowboys DC things because I've just been out of town since Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I've been out of town while they're chasing down, trying to find a defensive coordinator. So I need you to tell me and the people the very latest on the Cowboys finding a defensive coordinator.
Well, they're at least going through the process of the interviews. And it looks like, we talked about last week with Minnesota's passing game coordinator, Durante Jones, getting an opportunity. Safety coach, Efren Banta, is getting an opportunity to interview. They've interviewed Jim Leonard, who is the assistant head coach and passing game coordinator with the Broncos, who are now getting ready for a game. They internally yesterday interviewed Aaron Whitecotton. They also talked to Jonathan Gannon, the former head coach of the Arizona Cardinals, who got his team is Philadelphia into a Super Bowl one time. And then they also talked to former defensive coordinator from Baltimore Ravens, a local guy, North Texas owned Zach Orr. So that's what they're going through so far with the process. We have yet to, we're going to see what happens with the Jim Schwartzes, and the Brian Flores. Those guys are interviewing for head coaching jobs. So we'll see if, in fact, I have not heard this morning of any new interviews. But then again, I haven't, like I said, I reached out early this morning, just haven't heard back from anything. But those are the ones that they've done so far. I would like to believe that some of the other interviews could be possible, depending on if a guy like Jim Schwartz, who interviewed yesterday with the Ravens, has a real opportunity there. I think he does. I think Jim started with the Cleveland Browns way back in the day with Bill Belichick. So that group down there, the George Kukanis, the Ozzie Newsomes, they all know, what they have with Jim. So, and the fact they compete against him too within the division, I think they have an understanding there. But we'll see where else he has opportunities to interview, and then we'll see with Brian Flores. Just everybody in the National Football League is kind of the information people are connecting Brian to that Raiders job. We haven't heard any interviews that I know of so far with the Raiders. I might be missing one there late or something, but yeah, I've kind of tried to keep an eye on that one. But at least the process is going along here, and then once one of these coaches, once we start to get head coaches get jobs, we'll see how fast these defensive coordinators or prospective defensive coordinators get picked off. Good for the Cowboys to kind of get ahead of that by firing Matt Eberflus. They were able to get on the journey very quick. And if these coaches start taking jobs and start taking coordinators with them, or potential coordinators, well, at least Dallas kind of knows where they're at right now. So, tip of the cap for them to trying to figure these things out. And I think they're waiting potentially to talk to Flores and to talk to Jim Schwartz. I think those are two they're definitely waiting on. But again, the head coaching interviews are going to be priorities for those guys.
Bryan, can I ask you a weird question?
Sure.
Are you into facial profiling?
No, people bring it up, but who are you?
I'm a facial profiler.
Who are you facially profiling today?
So of the names you gave me, just one that jumps out at me, and it's Jonathan Gannon, fired as the Cardinals head coach, had a good run as the DC in Philadelphia, who evidence would tell me that's a good defensive coordinator. But I look at his face, and I think he might be a psychopath. And then I saw him kind of strike a player, and I thought, makes sense. I don't know if it's where his eyes are placed. I don't know what it is, but my facial profiling somewhere deep in the back is going, I don't know about this guy.
It's interesting you say that. I happen to know some people that have worked with him, and I just asked for an honest assessment, and a couple of guys said, "Listen, the thing you got to know about Jonathan Gannon is, yeah, he went to Philadelphia, yeah, they were in the Super Bowl, but has Jonathan Gannon really improved as a coach?" That's what you have to, I mean, there are people that are saying that the Arizona job that he was clearly over his head. And, so, that's not profiling. That's just people that work with him. And, he's been with some guys, and they honestly ask, like, really, has their defense improved? And you're kind of like, well, no. I mean, they've had problems off it. The Arizona Cardinals have had problems. I mean, they run the ball when their coach was there. They were able to have a running game and offensively and stuff like that. And you're, fortunate to have that situation here with you. But the main thing these guys said is, listen, has their defense really improved? And that's the biggest question you have to ask. I mean, they're like, listen, the guy got an opportunity, good for him. And I don't think it's a bitter thing or, hey, some meanness. They're being honest. So you do wonder a little bit. He's a young guy, the schemes and stuff that they play. We'll see. We'll see how it all plays out. But I just, a couple of guys I really trust that are in the league saying that might not be the best of the hires.
Just beware of the face. Now, of the names that you have thrown out, some of them could be the bun, some of them could be the hot dog. Do you have one that is your favorite as the hot dog?
Now, this is a hot dog bun. I think it's a hot dog, too.
I really don't. I mean, well, my favorite would be if they had the opportunity to talk to Jim Schwartz. I do feel like that Jim Schwartz, I think that you have to, if you go get Brian Flores, you have got to figure out, though, Brian Flores is an attack on first and second down.
Yeah.
He's constantly blitzing.
Yeah.
Great scheme to have. I mean, we saw last night the Pittsburgh game, 4-man rush could also wreck a team too. But the thing with Brian Flores is you are going to play a ton of zone coverage behind all that blitzing, and so is that really the best fit for the players you currently have? You're probably going to have a big overhaul with the type of players that you have. If the Cowboys are willing to, Brian Flores walks through the door and says, listen, we need this guy, this guy, this guy, and this guy, and Dallas says, well, wait a minute, we're into bottom fishing and we really don't like to play in free agency. And, we've got a couple of draft picks you could use. That's about it. I don't know if this job is going to be really inviting for Brian Flores.
Yeah.
What I do understand is I think there's multiple ways. The thing I like about a guy like Jim Schwartz potentially is that if he doesn't get a head coaching opportunity this time around, and he's interviewing and he's a guy that I'm kind of looking for my next Steve Spagnuolo, Vic Fangio, somebody that's going to stay with me. I could build some continuity. I could kind of build a defensive roster. Every year, I mean, you get these young coaches and God bless them, if in fact that the Durante Jones and Ephraim Banda and those guys, they're young coaches and they turn things around. And next thing you know, they're interviewing for head coaching jobs. And we're back to square one again. And I don't know if I necessarily want to do that. I do feel like those guys are really qualified, but I'm looking for a little bit more consistency is what I'm looking for. And I do worry about the Brian Flores stuff. I don't, with like I say, his scheme is unique. The type of players he has is unique. They're veteran players. Is that something? And is Dallas willing to say, okay, when you come in here, you tell us what you need, and we'll go and try and get all those guys. That's where, and maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that's a good thing that he's going to come in and say, I need some edges. I need better corners. I need a better linebackers. And maybe it's more than just use pick 12 and 20 to try and fill those needs.
I need everything. I do think that's the danger of when you do, how do you say this?
I'll tell you one thing is I really don't want Aaron White Cotton. I don't want just to settle. I just don't want to settle. I think we saw a little bit. How many games was Flus upstairs? 3 games?
3 or 4.
Anyway, and Aaron White Cotton on the field. Did we see anything better?
No, and I don't know.
I just don't want them to settle on Aaron White Cotton. I really
maybe his name is a good one to use for where I wanted to go here. Is I don't think it's a real good idea. The Cowboys have been on a really bad run of pretty much everything for the last 3 or 4 years. And I think a big part of it is if you're going to include your coordinators in picking players.
Yeah.
Could you please, God, make sure that you have a really good coach? Because if you are just grabbing these guys that are your buddy and then everything's going to fail and you're going to go get the next guy, what is the point of having people involved in getting the players when you don't have a great coach? Get you a guy that you know is your coordinator for a half decade and fine. He can have input into the players. But when you have guys having input that aren't good and may not be here, you are running yourself in a really dumb circle.
Oh man, it's clearly that Maris Leofau was the darling of a staff 2 years ago.
Right. Who cares? And they're not here.
And he's not here. See, that's the problem. And when you have a coach-driven personnel department, or Will McClay, and listen, Will McClay is not always happy with me, but I will say this for on Will McClay's behalf, that the fact that he has to try and make defensive coordinators happy every year has been to the detriment of how well they've drafted on the defense.
Well, Jerry said it. He actually came out and said it, where he said that like our scouting, the guys who scout the players, like they don't make the final pick.
They don't. They don't.
Scout they can rank them.
They absolutely don't.
And I think that's bad. But if you had a defensive coordinator that's proven that also you can look back and say, oh, Andy's a good talent evaluator, then okay, you could talk me into it. But for the most part, I'd rather those things be separate.
I think that Jason Garrett was an excellent evaluator. I think he was a poor head coach.
Yeah. You were.
That's kind of. I mean, that's where I'm at right now. And right now, I don't know if I want an excellent evaluator or a better defensive coordinator. I don't know. I mean, because I think you'd want the better defensive coordinator. But man, if you're gonna sit there and allow guys, Mike McCarthy had really very little input when he was at Green Bay. Ted Thompson, John Eric Sullivan, Elliott Wolf, those guys had a say in what was going on with their program and the way they drafted and the way they picked players. And then Mike McCarthy comes in and he's got carte blanche to stand there and, coaches can't take advantage of that. Bill Parcells wanted that power. Wade Phillips didn't want that power.
Right.
They don't. Some of these guys don't want to draft. They're like, hey, whatever you have to do, get me players. Jason Garrett wanted to be involved, and the rosters reflected that. They had some really good rosters, just couldn't get over the hump in some of this stuff.
Let's knock out some super chats. Hollywood's in here. He said, did we see the last of Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah.
I think so. Because watching that game last night, boy, I think by the end of it, like he had his moments this year where you went, he can still like move around pretty well and know what he's doing and keep people off balance. But boy, that offense was nothing but throw it short, throw it short, throw it short, throw it short. And then when they were getting after him at the end of the game, I was scared for Aaron's health.
Oh, no, on 105.3 The Fan yesterday, we kind of broke that game down, and they said, do you think this is the last time we see him? I said, yeah. Now, the problem is you're playing against a Houston defense that is clearly, like I said, they could rush 4. They cover well on the back end. They tackle great. They're a problem to play against. You're not always going to play against the Houston Texans every week. Yeah. But that team makes, hell, they made Josh Allen look just ridiculous in a game earlier in the year. So they could do that to you. But Aaron Rodgers, if he's not going to get help, if he's going to throw the ball down the field and they're not going to catch it, well then, Aaron Rodgers is I don't think Aaron Rodgers can come back as 43-year-old Aaron Rodgers and play anymore. I think we've seen the last of him.
Hood W. Cush is telling you, Bryan, Zach Orr's got a good chance here. Zach Orr, of course, the coordinator for the Baltimore Ravens, who's interviewing with the Cowboys, and we'll see.
Good coach, man, really good coach. Yeah, absolutely. He had some problems though. I mean, listen, they they gave him the opportunity, and the team, I mean, they've had offensive problems there and stuff with the quarterback and things like that. But, that's a team that, if you look at the metrics and stuff like that, weren't very good. But we're so used to seeing a Raven team play at a level defensively.
Yeah.
And then when they don't rush the passer and they don't tackle well and they don't cover, they can't get off the field, then the coordinator's going to take the hit for that. I have nothing against Zach Orr. If he gets an opportunity, good for him. I personally like, I have a better history with the Jim Swartzes and guys like that.
If you hired Zach Orr, I have one request, that he bring a free agent safety with him from Baltimore. Our Darius Washington will be a free agent. That's all you need to know. That's my Mighty Mouse. About 5'7", 175 of raising hell. Let's go. Roman Wolf Gaming wants to know thoughts on Ezeraku's arrest. What's the word? I tell people, let me double check where this happened, but I tell people, watch yourself in Collin County.
Okay? Oh, no, it's funny. Yeah. I mean, yesterday I was on the radio.
County. You don't play around in Allen and Frisco. They're going to pull you over. They're going to get you.
I love my guy, Sean Sharif. Yesterday, Sean is the king of 105.3. Sean knows when everybody gets arrested, no matter what. He sent me the picture and he says, hey, I think this is true. So now I have a couple of sources that I go to work on, and Sean, and then I get Sean I go, yeah, Sean, confirmed. He goes, yep, I just talked to somebody, confirmed. So yeah, reckless driving is what was involved. So
it's fine. It's fine. I'm glad everyone's safe. Okay. Reckless driving. Fine. There are crimes that I will be like, that's pretty gross. Yeah. That's one where you go, oh, young guy who just got a bunch of money and is driving a fast car. Chill out, please. And he'll chill out. Maybe. He seems more mature than some of the other people who have recklessly driven in recent years for the Cowboys.
I wish he played more reckless in those football games.
He's about to, Brian. He's about to.
I'll tell you what, that was, if you asked me for a disappointment, maybe I had the bar too high for him.
Yeah.
Maybe I had the bar too high.
Hollywood said, thank you, Brian. No white cotton. Let's start new. No, I think that when you have a defensive line that nobody on that team got better at playing defensive line over the course of the year.
They get better.
Defensive line being your DC is a great idea.
Yeah, if the coaches come, if a new coach comes in and wants to move away from everything that just happened, I have absolutely no problem with that. And I just mentioned Donovan Ezeraku. Donovan Ezeraku was beating better offensive tackles at Boston College at the ACC than he played some this year. Yeah. He did absolutely nothing. And I don't think that's just necessarily just on him. This guy's got pass rush ability. We've seen some pressures. Where's the finish? Listen, some of those coaches walk in with high resumes and all that and everything. And hey, Quentin Williams can roll out of bed and play football. He doesn't need Aaron Whitecott to tell him how to play football. Solomon Thomas, I think Solomon Thomas for later in his career, I think Solomon Thomas is a good player. They didn't play him nearly enough. But you can't sit here and tell me that they got better on the defensive line with Aaron Whitecott. And I'm sorry, I just don't see it.
All right, Brian, now we've got our draft talk coming up here in a second, but first it is time to tell people about our friends at Underdog, who I love it. The Underdog app is on my phone, and when I tell you I wear that sucker out, you can see on my screen where it sits, because that's where my finger hits all the time, because it's a lot of fun. You still got the football playoffs going on, and all you got to do on Underdog, it's easy. You just pick whether you think that certain players are going to go higher or lower on stats like rushing yards, receptions, touchdowns, maybe. Sucks that I don't get to do it anymore, but boy, I'll wear out the Jalen Hurts less than passing yards, AJ Brown.
That's why you don't get to do it anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't get to pick Hurts anymore. I'll have to pick some different players, but that's okay. All you do is you make those sorts of picks, get those picks right, and you can win up to 5,000 times yo cash. Isn't that nice? So get on over there, download the app today, the Underdog app. Use the promo code TAPE, T-A-P-E, because this is Trust the Tape, and you'll get $75 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. The promo code is TAPE, T-A-P-E, Underdog. Make picks, win money.
I'd go under on Drake May after watching that Texans front.
Well, actually, you would go less than, Brian.
Less than, whatever. Yeah, less than.
Less than is where you would go there. Kerry Matthews, Freak Jesus, wants to know, do we interview Mike Tomlin when he gets fired later today? Is Mike Tomlin getting fired? Mike Tomlin's going to be a head coach regardless, so Mike Tomlin ain't going to be nobody's coordinator. Mike Tomlin, he's not really a coordinator of either side, is he?
He's got a defensive background. He was
Okay,
with,
so okay.
yeah, actually, I think he got his start with Tony Dungy in Tampa.
Okay. Dro Knows is going to kick us over to our draft portion of the show, Brian. He said, why aren't more people talking about Anthony Hill Jr., the linebacker out of Texas? What could get in return for pick 20? Mansour Delane at 12. Appreciate you, Brian. Jeff. I choose not to talk about Anthony Hill that much because I think he had been built up as a potential first-round pick by a lot of folks. At least that was like how people talked about him. And when I watched him on tape, I don't feel that way about him. But we live in the state of Texas, so I just keep my mouth shut, put him where I put him, and moved on with my day. I think there are the top linebackers in this class. I think are 2 Ohio State kids, and then C.J. Allen at Georgia are my favorite guys. And I'd rather not probably even talk about C.J. Allen in the first round. So I think it's kind of Sonny Styles or bust for me if you're talking about a off-the-ball linebacker for the Cowboys in the first round. And so I just kind of shut up about Anthony Hill is what I do, because I don't view him as a guy that I would be comfortable with like a top 45 pick on.
I got him in the second round myself, and I understand your dilemma. I will say this: I think there's a group of guys that are really probably pretty good Mike linebackers, and I think Anthony Hill probably fits in that mode of that. I think that C.J. Allen, you could talk about him. I think there's some guys in this crew. I'm interested, Jeff, to see what you think about Jeremiah Trotter's son, Josiah Trotter, who's a linebacker from Missouri. But there's a group of these guys like Allen, Hill, Trotter, Rodriguez from Texas Tech, really good Mike linebacker type players, and all kind of in that one little pocket there. I think that if you want to talk about potential cover guys and like that, I think Styles is that kind of guy. I think he's more of a run player cover guy, whereas like Hill and Allen, and I mentioned Rodriguez from Texas Tech. I mentioned, and I'm going to get you to Trotter from Missouri. They're kind of Mike linebackers, kind of these thumpy kind of guys that play downhill. But I look at Anthony Hill and I want to believe that he could cover, but he's kind of a spot drop linebacker right now. Get to a spot, just go drop there, sit, and then kind of, I kind of wonder about him. I think there's some things about C.J. Allen that if you put him in man coverage, twitchy guys give him a little bit of some problems. So I've kind of got my idea of those Mike linebackers, and then I've got my idea of like a guy like Styles, who I think is a little bit of both.
I will give you on Anthony Hill Jr. the short version of all the notes. Let me see if I condensed it here. I don't think, this is one where I don't remember where somebody used this phrase when talking about draft guys, but I like it. It's probably a Dane thing. I don't think he's the sum of his parts yet, Anthony Hill Jr. Like, I think he has size, he has length.
That's Dane. That's a Dane. That's Dane.
Dane thing. Coverage won't be a strength, doesn't consistently play to his power with stack and shed. So like, I think that he is a big, strong, fast guy that doesn't always play to all of those tools. And they didn't have him playing, I guess, towards the quarterback as much this year. So he didn't have as much production in that way. And just as a pure linebacker, there's guys I like more. Obviously, as a pass rusher, there's guys you like more. And so it's like, okay, could I see him developing into a good Mike linebacker? I could. Would I feel great about him as a rookie? I would not. Ty Tassel is in the super chat. Opinion on Gums Jr. from Florida, who I looked up before I read this. It's an edge guy at Florida that had 2.5 sacks this year. So I'm certainly not to wherever he's going to be, if he's going to be picked yet. And I doubt Bryan is either. But there is a man named George Gums Jr. at Florida, Bryan, that you need to know. Okay.
Looking at it.
Adrian Hernandez. You think we might move down for and switch with Pittsburgh at 20? Oh, I guess Pittsburgh took our 20, huh? And now we're going to drop to 21 because they had a worse record than Green Bay. I'll have to check Tankathon, but I bet we moved down to 21. I mean, we're already right there.
Well, Pittsburgh won 10 games this year.
And
Dallas only won 7.
Green Bay only won 9?
Green Bay only won 9, yeah.
Because it's Green Bay versus Pittsburgh for 2021.
Yeah.
We have Green Bay. But either way, you're already in that range.
Yeah,
I think you have 2 picks in that range. It wouldn't be a bad year to move down, honestly. You know the group that I like if you move down that I think you could really do a double dip, and I'd like it. You could
Corner.
double dip a corner in this thing, and I'd
Yeah.
like it.
Yeah. I'm trying to, can I convince you to draft the corner at 12 and wait on the edge at 20?
Maybe. I think that's going to be a real.
Can I convince you to take Delane? Could I convince you to draft Delane or McCoy? I don't know if they would draft McCoy. So I'm talking about Dallas, folks. If you're a fan of another team, you should look at both players. I don't know if Dallas would necessarily draft McCoy. We'll see about the knee stuff. I think it should be fine. But would you consider drafting, because I think you might be able to get McCoy at 20, believe it or not.
I could totally see that. Yeah.
I don't think you could get Delane at 20. So if you're interested in Delane, would you consider drafting him at 12 and then drafting a linebacker edge? I think the one group that might stretch a little bit are these edges.
Yeah, because I think you're looking at in this one, because I'm just going to guess at what you're thinking if you're going at 20. My guess would be David Bailey, Texas Tech is gone. My guess is that Ruben Bain is gone. I'm basically just trusting Dane that the Auburn guy, Falk, is going to be really valued by NFL teams and be gone. So if you are talking about grabbing one of the guys that has a flaw where it's like
Messidor
guys, the pass rush only guys, like A&M dude, Howell, I think will be available for you at 20 if you want to go there. I think Height, the Tech guy, will definitely be like Messidor at Miami. Like I think all of those guys are available probably at 20. So if you're looking for just a pass rusher, or Messidor isn't really pass rush only. His flaw is that he's going to be a 25-year-old rookie.
Well, you got the feet you got to worry about too.
And you got feet. But no, I think you could probably get – but I actually like this corner class so far. I think at 20, I could go 5 deep on corners that it may be a little high, but Mansour Delane, McCoy.
Corners, every one of these corners we like get drafted later. How about the last few drafts where all of a sudden we've got a guy like Terrion Arnold who we absolutely love? How about Joey Porter? Guys we love, and they get picked late in the first round, late in the, I mean, I'd be interested if the Cowboys decided to draft the corner first and then wait or flip it and go with the edge first and then draft the corner later. You have to figure out which combination you like better. Do you like Bailey and take your pick of the corner?
I think I would like it if I could have David Bailey at 12. That's the route I would want. I could go David Bailey at 12 because at 20, I'll take Avion Terrell at Clemson as my corner, and I'll be happy with that.
Sure. Or Hood. Have you seen Hood from Tennessee?
Yeah. So I watched Colton Hood last night, and I was about to say, I really like that dude. What's so wild to me is I don't have like our buddy Dane Brugler will have like spring numbers from the school on how big guys actually are.
How fast they run.
These guys up, every one of them is listed as 6'190" or 6'195". And when I tell you the Arizona State corner Abney, that dude is not as big as Colton Hood, and it ain't close. No. Like I'm watching Colton Hood's tape, and I'm like, oh yeah, long and physical and tough. And Abney, I'm like, maybe the stickiest guy in the class. Man, he's small.
What did you think about Abney? What did you think about Abney? What did you think about Abney? I mean,
I like him. Like I think he's a super sticky cover guy. I think he's small.
Yeah.
But again,
they got 6. They got like 6'6". Yeah, 6'190" is what they say.
He's listed the exact same. I'm telling you, Keith Abney at Arizona State and Colton Hood at Tennessee will not be the same size when they are measured and weighed. They will.
What's interesting? I learned this
Hood
about.
Plays like he's 6'2", 205. Abney plays like he's 5'9", 180. Like they're not the same size.
Abney is. I tell you what's funny about it. Abney's from Waxahachie, Texas, so he's a Texas kid.
Dude, and he can just close so fast.
You want to know what his background is? Did you look up his background?
No.
This guy is a championship speed roller skater guy.
That's what he is. Like I
thought it.
Stop and go on it.
Yeah, he's like when he was
he could just
when he was like 13, 14 years old. This guy was a championship roller skater. Like,
So
you know, yeah, so you see like the speed and like kind of the way he stays down, the power and stuff like that, the way he bursts.
yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's an interesting thing, but he is I really like Keith Abney from
He's sticky as hell.
Arizona State. I think that you could see like he'll come up, he'll hit you. You know, he can attack the catch points. I think he plays with that burst we're talking about. He's got mirror skills. He's twitchy. There's willing to play and run support. I think that's pretty impressive about the kid. So yeah, he's going to be under 6 foot and 190. I have a feeling that's what we're kind of looking at right now.
Colton Hood very close, but I think they're very different. Like I think Colton Hood is the sort of guy that's going to get his hands on you. He's going to be physical through a route.
Yeah.
He's going to blow up your screen. Like he plays like he's over 200 pounds and that he's
okay.
6'2".
Tell me if I'm wrong about Colton Hood from Tennessee. Then tell me if I'm wrong about this. Does he play a little too loose for you? And I mean loose for like, you're not sure if he's covering this guy. Maybe he's covering this guy. Maybe he sees like, he's like, oh, wait a minute, they're going to throw the ball over here. He's kind of a guy that's not like
that sounds great. That sounds like a guy.
No, but I'm saying it in a way, and I'm saying it in a way that it kind of, it's, all right, this is going to kill people. He's very reminiscent of Diggs and the way that Diggs kinds of floats when he plays in games, you know, kind of like, okay, I see what's going on there. We're going to throw the ball up the seam. I'm going to jump over here, or you know, that kind of. I can
like
see
that if you can get away with it.
Yeah.
I kind of like it if you can get away. Diggs when he was good. Diggs.
That's what I'm saying. This guy Hood, he kind of plays with that looseness to him, that element of just being kind of like, I'm really not covering you. I'm covering you. That's kind of how he plays. Yeah.
I mean, here's we got to rapid fire these because Bryan, I don't want to keep you too long. But Colton Hood, here's what one of my first notes is all these corners are listed the same, but he's a little bigger and longer than the other top corners in this. Yeah. He uses the length well when he's in press. Really nice job forcing guys to the sideline, makes it hard to create space, runs well enough. You have to earn every inch of real estate against him. He's going to fight you, and I put Princess cleanly all the way. Love how he plays. Not the twitchiest, but he's going to make everything hard on you, fight his ass off to make plays against screens. Full-size corner, quality prospect in every way. Missed some tackles doing the throw a shoulder thing, but he's not.
Oh, no, he's not always interested in doing that. He's really not. He's just, I think you got the guy right. I think he's got instincts because I'm talking about that loose. But, you know, he's a guy, I mean, he started at Auburn, Colorado, and now Tennessee. I've seen him play both sides, but a lot of his snaps were in the boundary side. So he's playing along with the short field and stuff like that. But the speed, the instincts, there's snaps where you see him. And you know me, you give me a corner that can carry a route across the field and stay in phase and not interfere and all that. That guy gets high marks in my book for doing that.
He does. They across the field. Oh, I forgot to mention Bryan Broaddus note. Yeah. When they run a drag, I'm like, oh, he can run across the field.
Oh, no, man. I mean, if you get corners that can carry routes inside and stay with receivers, that's as tough as it gets. So
George in the super chat, I assume this is about Ezeraku. It's more concerning that Donovan weigh in at 120 pounds. I don't think that's accurate. He actually wasn't a terrible run defender. I thought Ezeraku, we just got to get his back. And what we got to do is we got to put a guy who has because Ezeraku he was a great college pass rusher, but he was never he had a good get off, but his get off was to set up some sort of move. He wasn't necessarily.
He didn't look like the same player, man.
We got to get David Bailey with him, and now we're working with something. It's going to be good.
Here we go.
Dad Exotic is. Oh wait, no, hold on. Ta Ahmed, is the scouting department working different right now without a DC? I don't think so, right? They just put it all together, and then the DC ruins it all by saying who he wants.
Absolutely. Yep.
That'll be fine. Dad Exotic, I've done about 100 mock drafts. I think it's imperative we trade back at least one of those two first. The draft turns out so much better. You don't have to sell me on it. I'm Captain Trade Down. I'm trying to – there's enough corners I like that a trade down and your second pick being one of those corners and still having another pick, I think would – like Colton Hood, trade down and pick Colton Hood in the mid to late 20s or in the early second round and have another 2 or a 3 that might work out well for you. Hollywood, what are y'all's dream scenario for this draft? Meaning a certain player sitting there or trading back to get wet picks. I think I've come around to where my dream scenario is that somebody takes Falk, the Oregon guy, as one of the top pass rushers.
Falk is Auburn.
Did I say something wrong
You said Oregon.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. The Auburn big old passer. And I like him as a prospect.
Yeah,
but
good prospect.
Top 15 pick to be a good prospect and a really good player. Yeah. And I just don't think that's necessarily on tape, although all the tools are there. I want David Bailey to make it to 12 because I think he has the best chance to be the best pass rusher.
Him or Bain.
And so I would love for him to make it to 12. And I love Reuben Bain. I love Reuben Bain, the player.
Yeah.
Reuben Bain, I don't think is going to have a 10-sack season in the NFL, and I think Bailey's got a shot to be that sort of guy. Eddie, thoughts on West Whitweeks? Whitweeks, the LSU linebacker. I started watching, but I hadn't.
He's a tough son of a gun, man. That guy's tough. He's around the ball. He tackles well. He's a great teammate. He loves football. There's a lot of positive things to like about him. I watched him every week. Him and his brothers, they played hard at LSU. It's a team that attacked on defense. They weren't always successful, but this guy, when he didn't play, they were a different defense in a bad way.
Southpaw Gaming, is there a scenario where the boys double dip for a position in the first round? In theory, I guess you could double dip at – I don't know if they would double dip at corner because I think they want Revel to be a starter.
They want Revel to be good. Yeah, they sure do.
I think they want him to be a starter, so I think you could absolutely pick a corner high. I don't think they'd actually double dip there. Could you double dip at edge? Maybe
they could. They could double dip. I mean, it's double dip. But if you wanted to talk about take two secondary players, a safety and a corner, they could do that. Yeah.
Adrian, 12 styles, then trade 20 down, still in the first. Pick up a corner. There you go. There's your Colton Hood or your Abney. Then get Rodriguez at the second or third for trading down in the 20s. Your thoughts? Rodriguez, I think, is going to be the hardest guy to place. I haven't even done it yet because I watch him play, and I think I'm going to watch every single game. You watch him and you go, this dude has the instincts. He makes plays. He's got the peanut punch. Like, he makes all of these plays, and he looks so good. And he might be 5'11", 210. Like, I don't know.
Once again, there's your judge. He's the same. If you look at just the numbers, 6'1", 235 is what it says.
My ass.
It's the same. It's the same height and weight as CJ Allen. Same height and weight as CJ Allen. Okay, I'm just saying. You're right.
And CJ Allen might be smaller than listed too, by the way.
There you go.
Is he going to turn out to be 5'11", 210 pounds and run a 4.7? Yeah. Like, he makes plays.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I have him in the third round myself.
That's where I think I'll have him.
I have him in the third round.
I'm just going to watch every single snap and then figure it out. Yeah. Spencer, when on the clock, we all consider BPA, team positional needs, class positional strength. Can I get an et cetera later? How do you decide the player? JC, check your email, please. I will check my email. I mean, I think that sums it up really well. I think if I'm doing a mock draft and it's like where I'm going to put the players for each team, like, their need matters unless there's not a player near the top of your stack that plays that position. And then
don't adjust your board.
I'm not skipping 12 guys because we need a fill in the blank.
That's why you have the stack. That's why you have the stack. You put the players where you would take them.
Thoughts on overlooked West Weeks, not Whit Weeks. I don't know who West Weeks is, Eddie.
Just
Joe,
brother.
So.
Yeah, they're brother.
Okay,
yeah.
Well, we're going to have to figure it out. We'll figure it out as we go. How about that? Bryan, have yourself a day. It's always good to talk to you. Thank
you, sir. Appreciate that. Yeah, thank you.
Follow Crown Global Media on YouTube, also Crown Global Media on Twitter, but there is no O, CRWN Global Media, and that'll be good. And check me out on the DLS Cowboys podcast, which will be coming up today here in about 2 hours and 20 minutes, 11 a.m. to noon every day. Remember, you have no idea what anybody's going through. Be cool to everybody. We love you. Be easy.